after all, tell us, in your own real-life experience, how have you managed to organize all the learning from distance?
Yes, it's my pleasure to speak from behalf of the school, which is Tartu Vocational Education Centre is the biggest vocational school in Estonia today. My personal experience of organizing distance learning means a lot of cooperation with different parties. The school management, all the teachers involved, the students, and also the workplaces, listening closely to what they have to say. As I said, and as Dit brought out, practical studies are an integral and very, very important part of all vet training. So this has clearly been our biggest challenge of organizing vocational education at a distance, is how to organize just these practical studies when all the workshops are closed. And for our school, because we have 10 study departments of very, very different fields, from catering and hospitality to car repairs and beauty services. So organizing practical work has been very different for these departments. For example, for our ICT students, for many of them, working from distance is normal, even in a normal situation, in a daily life. So the experiences I would like to share with you is it's been a challenge to switch to distance learning, of course, but I think, as Ted again brought out, we in Estonia were well prepared. For example, in our school, we have had e-learning days as part of the academic calendar for the past 5 years. We educational technologist who supports the staff specifically in our school and has organized during the past 2 years weekly trainings to colleagues to help them discover new educational technologies, new online tools, digital tools to use in education. Plus, our teachers came together last year and made Moodle hubs, which are these course-based hubs where different e-learning materials are gathered specific to one area of study. And this also very well provides for the collaboration of teachers and brings the learners together into this one sort of virtual room. What we also experienced is that when making such a huge change as this has been, we decided to gather feedback from our teachers and students very fast. So after the first week of distance learning, we sent out questionnaires and asked for the problems and some of the success stories, and then shared these experiences through the virtual teachers lounge. We have really a virtual teachers lounge where teachers just go to have coffee, not to have meetings. Then, of course, we continue the departmental meetings virtually, everybody working from home. What the feedback also and the first week brought out was the lack of just equipment in some cases, because the vocational education, usually the students are very various backgrounds, and their economic situation at home is very, very different. So the school dealt with providing different IT tools, lending out school computers, providing webcams to teachers, so on and so forth. Of course, the biggest challenge has been to cope with the fact that the school workshops, where a lot of the practical training usually takes place, were just closed. So in Estonia's case, though, which differs from a lot of our European partners, the practical training at the workplace could continue because our companies are up and running. A lot of them are operating, they are not closed. So the students who were on internships or work on a workplace learning period, they could continue that. And we also had help from our partner enterprises accepting new students in. We have tried to be very flexible in this organization of work-based learning, meaning the contracts have been extended up to the end of the academic year. As Ted mentioned, the Estonian vocational schools are quite autonomous. Our academic year ends 31st of August, so most of our internship contracts for this spring, they also last until the 31st of August. What we have also found is the teachers who have been already under a lot of pressure to organize this distance learning now also had to tackle the problem, how do I organize something that I usually do in a workshop? And this is one example what the teachers then do. They become YouTubers. They create video tutorials, and then the students follow them and send them feedback, in the case in the form of a video or photos in a portfolio where they describe what they did. This can also include feedback from your family, if you served breakfast to your family, for example, as a task, or if you baked something or cooked something. So they really try to simulate the working environment, and always keeping in mind what the students have at their disposal at home. So it's been additional challenge to the teachers, but they have found very creative ways around that. And of course, no vet school can do anything without the enterprise partners, because really learning in the workplace is an integral part of any vocational studies. And we have such good examples in our case in the fields of construction or woodworking or metalworking specifically, where you cannot expect the student to have the benches and the equipment at home to do the practical studies. We have come to agreements with some of our bigger partner companies, Metec in Tartu, for example, who have come to our aid and have taken in students to do the internship in the company rather than in the school workshop. So this has been, of course, great help for the students to really be working and be oriented on achieving their learning outcomes. What we have noticed talking to the enterprises as well, they really take great responsibility when taking in the students at this time, and their first concern is that always the health and safety of the student and their staff. And this has been just great to hear back from them. We try to keep in mind not to give grades to the student, but to give them feedback. The same with workplaces and workplace learning, that maybe the student cannot work specific tasks at this time, but we keep the overall learning outcomes in mind, and working on the key competencies such as communication, teamwork, work ethics, keeping your time schedule, all those sorts of skills. So these are some of the examples we have had in our school, how we have tried to cope with this situation, and hope you find some of them useful.